I got intrigued by the why in the whole process. I said, why is it that certain things are done in a life insurance organization? When you have next generation or the qualifying actuaries, you should have sufficient opportunities for them, right? And that's what sustaining the engagement is all about. Problems are getting more complex. I think actuaries have a huge role to play. Through IAI, India is the place to be in. This is the land where there is going to be immense opportunity. The growth mindset implies that you have to lean into the possibility of a failure, pick yourself up and move along. So I think this is just the right time to be an actuary, honestly.
Hello and welcome to Actuarial 360 Degree Conversations Beyond Numbers. I am Surbhi Handa, your host for today's episode. In this series, which is being organized by the Institute of Actuaries of India, we wish to simplify the world of actuarial science for all of you. So, whether you are somebody who is just starting out their career or if you are somebody who has been into the profession for a very long time now, we are going to ensure that we bring something for each and every one of you. So do stay tuned to all the podcasts that are coming in. Now, talking about this very podcast, we have with us our very own and very special Miss Preeti Chandrashekhar, the President of Institute of Actuaries of India. I'm sure that as the presidency has come in, we are all looking forward to hear from her. So let us get started. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great, Surbhi. How are you?
I am great. So, ma'am, how has Delhi been like so far?
Delhi's been nice. I actually was brought up in Delhi. I did all my schooling and college in Delhi. It's not new to me. My first posting in LIC was in Delhi, so I know Delhi pretty well in that sense. But of course, things have changed, but I think it was fine for us.
I remember you'd earlier told me about Delhi. So, how has your entire journey been so far? Because I know that you have been working for 30 years now. How do you feel that? How was the journey been like? Was it a roller coaster ride or was it a steady climb?
It is generally, any career is not a roller coaster ride. I think if you would have heard Roger Federer's speech when he says that really your effortless is a myth. So there's nothing effortless. So all of us put in our efforts in our own way. About my journey, it started with Life Insurance Corporation of India. I joined as an assistant administrative officer, and my first posting was a branch. And interestingly, I was all of 23 plus years of age when I got exposed to people management at that age, plus unions. And but it was very interesting for me. So I sort of learnt it on the ground on how to deal with people, how to deal with unions, etc. In the branch, I got to know about what we do and how we do stuff. Then I got intrigued by the why in the whole process. I said, why is it that certain things are done in a life insurance organization? What is this underwriting about? How do you decide, somebody needs to be charged extra and somebody is a normal life, etc. So those are the kind of things that intrigued me. And then I got an opportunity to get introduced to actuarial science by the organization, and that's why my journey as an actuary started. Then in between, I got an opportunity to work with Infosys Limited in a slightly different role. That was consulting, okay, and that was consulting, which was talking to overseas insurance clients or pension clients, which was also another interesting thing. Which the why that I was intrigued with helped me map it to certain practices and policies, procedures of insurance companies which are either based in the US or based in France, etc. So that really helped me hone myself as a consultant. I do not regret both of those stints of mine. Then I decided to come back to the actuarial science. I joined Willis Towers Watson, then went on to qualify as an actuary there. Then I joined Mercer. All of them have been amazing journeys. The consulting part sort of helped me apply the whatever I had learnt in theory through exams to a business context of the organization. That is extremely critical for us. We cannot be sitting behind desktops or laptops and do number crunching all the time unless it contextually helps an individual who's perhaps a non-actuary. That gives you like a sense of satisfaction.
So, ma'am, you mentioned that you've been into consulting. I also come from a consulting background. Of course, the experience is a lot lesser than what you have. So, has there been a lot of challenges, or you would say that the journey had a lot more blessings? How was it for you?
It was challenging in the sense that when I joined Infosys, we actually had just started that unit. We were all sold a dream, and we bought the dream, and there was a lot of learning for us as we moved along. And I had the fortune, or I was lucky to actually interact with colleagues who were from different domains. They were from manufacturing, somebody was from supply chain, somebody was from banking, capital markets, etc. But that really, really helped me to understand, the context of things and how people approach problems. It was challenging, I would say, initially. I think the challenge was more from a travel perspective because there was way too much travel than, what one would typically want to handle.
Yes.
So that was the only challenging part. Otherwise, I loved my tenure at Infosys Limited.
So, ma'am, what if you loved the challenging parts also? So, what piece of advice do you want to maybe give to the audience who, especially the younger generations, who feel that they, whenever we have any challenges, we generally have a mindset that we feel that the challenges are hurdles for us, and I'm sure this is something that a lot of people in my generation also feel. So, what do you want to suggest to them, considering this challenges part?
I think everything is a learning. And I would say, what you call a growth mindset, that is extremely important. More important for somebody who's taking actuarial exams because, you've seen people have been toppers, right, in colleges, and then suddenly they face failure in an actuarial exam. That should not be treated as a setback. I think you have a right to mourn for a few days because you put in a lot of effort. But the growth mindset implies that you have to lean into the possibility of a failure, pick yourself up, and move along. Every failure teaches you not just what you should do right, but also teaches you what you have learned. So every time you sort of write an exam, there is always an extra learning that you would not have had in the previous ones. I've also had failures. It's not that I've passed all exams at the first attempt, but that's okay. In the long run, you realize that all this really helped you hone yourself as a strong human being, which is very, very much required for a profession like actuarial science, because you really need to be resilient here, and your exams teach you resilience, right?
So, our key takeaway is that you have the right to mourn, but definitely get back up.
Yeah, not beyond a point.
Yes.
Mourn maybe for a week, but after that, pick
But then
yourself
get
up and
back.
move along. Yeah.
Yes. So, ma'am, now coming back, so how do you feel that, because when at the time when you started in your actual journey, it has been long back. So, what was your choice of choosing this profession? Because many times students ask us that we are not sure, we are not ready, that if this is the right path for us or not. So, what do you want to suggest to them?
I knew about actuarial science from my father before.
Oh.
But then, those were the non-internet days, non-social media days. So it's not, there was not much that we could know about other than just going to the actuarial department of LIC and getting to know something more, talking to actuaries there in LIC. But every time we used to talk to them, we always used to come back and feel, wow, this is like such a great profession to be in. They were really revered in that sense. So that got me interested. And the doubt that you always have, because people say the exam is very tough, pass rates are low. So, you sort of tend to get dissuaded. Is this the right thing I'm doing? Because if you've been typically good at studies, I was actually a very average person, let me tell you. I was not like the person who used to ace in my exams. But then, you think, is that something, is it going to be tougher than what I've already done? How will I be able to take it? But then you get interested in it. And if you really like numbers and if you like to understand the why of things, it just sort of fits everything in nicely for you to sort of get interested in the subject.
So I think, ma'am, one thing that comes in here is that, especially I've noticed this in leaders, so it all starts with family. So for you also, it started with your father, which is, I'm sure it's genuinely going to be really inspiring for us. So ma'am, now coming up to the evolution of actuarial science, how is it that you have seen that how actuaries have evolved? Like you mentioned that earlier we were at the back end, but now we are also taking in a lot more strategic
Yeah.
roles. So, and especially coming in the coming years, what do you feel like that? How is our profession going to be in the next 30 years?
If you look at the journey of an actuary, what I understand is that it all started with, us actually life insurance, and where there was a publication of mortality
Yes.
tables. That's where it
Yes.
started, right? But gradually you saw the science evolving into other areas like general insurance, pension, then health insurance. So there's a whole bunch of things where it started evolving. Now we are seeing that you actually can use data science, machine learning, you use AI. What do you do with that? They become buzzwords, but essentially, if you see, actuaries have always been data scientists, right? They've anywhere where there is large data, where you have to make financial sense of the future, that's what the actuary does. So it's not new to us. The only thing is maybe the amount of data that you're getting, the way you process the data is changing now with the new technology. So what do you do there? It helps you, predict your models better. It helps you hone your modeling skills better. So, and it helps you in terms of the your regular processes being taken over by systems,
Yes.
so that it frees up your time to do something more innovative. Because left to itself, AI and data will not be doing innovation. It is the human mind which has to innovate. It is the human mind which understands the behavioral science, understands the people better, right? The human psychology. So, and that is so important for us now in this day and age when you're talking about hyper personalization. You really need to be able to come up with products which are extremely, extremely suited to individual needs. So, all this just frees up your mind and time to be able to do that. Slowly, we are also seeing areas such as cybersecurity. We are seeing areas like such as climate, right, and operations risk, and the whole bunch of things where actual principles can be, really, really used very effectively. Banking, it's coming in a big way. Actuaries are people who are able to make sense of a large amount of data,
Yes.
make financial sense of that, and see what is likely to happen, what are the likely outcomes in the future. So as problems are getting more complex, I think actuaries have a huge role to play.
So, ma'am, are there any initiatives that the institute will also be taking in for all these new arenas that are coming in?
Yeah, so institute is doing a lot. So there are two key areas where institute is actually working, and I think what we are looking at is more innovation and collaboration to have a sustainable future. So
Yes.
when I say innovation and collaboration, if I just look at innovation for now, we are looking at ways in which we can engage students to see if we can solve some slightly different problems from the regular ones. So, the regular, your traditional areas I talked about, life, pension, health, general
GI.
insurance, I mean, we have to just get better at what we are doing right now, right? But apart from that, we also have to see in some of the other areas, we are sort of encouraging students, and you would have seen in industries, a lot of people getting into banking, a lot of them looking at climate, operations risk, enterprise risk. There's lot bunch of things that people are doing. So IAI is encouraging these kind of things. So we are trying to look at labs where we get people from, seasoned fellows. You get recently qualified fellows. You get nearly qualified fellows. You get students. So it's a mix of all these. So you get experience of the senior actuaries on one hand, and also the kind of enthusiasm and the technologically savvy people that you have in Gen Z also mixed together. So it's going to be a great combination, I think. That's one thing we're doing. So on the collaboration side, we are actually collaborating with other professionals. We are collaborating with other industry bodies. We are also trying to collaborate with policymakers to make sure that we amplify the what the profession can do, and towards and also collaborating with other actuarial bodies overseas. And global problems are just getting complex. All of us cannot sit in our homes and in our own professions to solve problems. We need global insights also. So I think this is just the right time to be an actuary, honestly. If I can sum it up like that.
So it's the right time to be an actuary. So I think there have been a lot many questions. Should we be one or not? So I think ma'am has already answered that. So ma'am, now coming back to the next question. Talking about Gen Zs also, especially, that we have been conducting in a lot more initiatives now. The institute has been really proactive, and that is something that we all know. We have outreach programs. We now have the examinations conducted more than how it was earlier. The frequency has increased. So, what are your thoughts on all of the initiatives that are being taken in?
So we're doing a lot, right?
Yes.
And whenever you have a lot of initiatives, the thing that we need to focus on is the sustainability of these, and sustainability in a manner that you don't compromise on quality of any of these, and also make sure that sustainability is such that even the engagement of the students continues. See, one challenge is attracting students to sign up for this science. The second one is make their experience so great that it gets amplified, in the sense they go talk to maybe 5 other students or friends of theirs and say, wow, this is like a great thing to do. This is a great institute, and everything is seamless for us. We get proper support. So that's the second level, right? We're looking at. And the third level is, once people sort of start taking exams and papers, you need to be able to engage them in suitable employment, either through jobs in the industry or some way in which they are gainfully employed. That gets very critical. See, everybody has a commercial interest in any profession they take up.
Yes.
Right? So we're not doing things for charity all the time. So that is the third stage. So we're actually working on all three of them, so that when students start clearing exams, we sort of continue engaging them. First of all, make the experience in IAI so great for them that they just don't go beyond IAI. So that's really something that I would just love to do in my tenure.
So, ma'am, you said that they don't go beyond IIs. So, any initiatives that we'll be taking in to make the institute more globally recognized also? That
It is already globally recognized, honestly. It is just that the profession itself is not, I would say, as old or as some of the others, like Society of Actuaries in US and in IFOA in the UK, have been around for very long time, and they have evolved, they have matured to a certain level, definitely. So, and it's not that if somebody takes 100 years, we'll also take 100 years. There is a key difference here. India is actually the growth story for the world, right? We are the fifth largest economy in the world. We are the fastest growing economy. It's a land of opportunities, and because of the fact that we have a population which is young, your median age is less than 30, there are a lot of things that we can do within India. And that's why I say IAI. I don't say that IAI is a place to go in that sense that you don't look around for other institutes. What I'm trying to say is, through IAI, India is a place to be in. This is the land where there is going to be immense opportunity. And like I was telling somebody yesterday, that in one of the talks, that India is considered as a strong asset class for investment by the world. So you imagine that statement, and I heard about it somewhere. That statement sort of sums up what is there for India going forward, and this is the right place to be in, and right place to be in. So why not through II? That is how I was trying to position it.
So, ma'am, you talked about sustainability and you talked about growing economy. So, maybe I'll first come on the sustainability part. a lot many times what we've seen is that now, because we are going to have a huge supply of actuaries, do you feel that we have, and or are we planning any of the steps that is going to ensure that there are going to be enough job opportunities for the people who are coming in?
So that's something that we're working on, Survi. As I said, the first step is to attract,
Yes.
and the second step is to engage, right? And sustain the engagement. And that is where we are talking to other industry bodies, we are talking to other professional bodies to see how, and even the government for that matter, how is it that we can make sure that actual skills are recognized, amplified in a manner they, and we are doing a lot of studies, we're doing proof of concept, etc. So then they actually see, and not just a slide deck that they're looking at, they actually see what we are capable of doing, so that there is more demand. So we're trying to generate demand from that side. And I would not say honestly that it will happen in the next quarter or so, but then we are sowing the seeds for that, so that when you have the next generation or the future qualifying actuaries, you should have sufficient opportunities for them, right? And that's what sustaining the engagement is all about.
So, ma'am, definitely from the discussion, I understand that there is a lot of reassurance for the future. But anybody maybe who is struggling right now and they're not able to find their first actual job, what piece of advice do you want to give to them?
I think for the jobs also, the II is having a special focus on trying to create traction with various employers possible, so that they should get some job opportunities. We are also looking at ways in which we can engage them in research, and research is not just like a pro bono many times, right? I mean, and ultimately, if you are able to get some remuneration out of it, that is something which will really be sustained for them. So these are certain things we are looking at. I will not say, again I said, like next quarter, like 31st March you will see a bunch of things, maybe not that, but there's certainly things that we are taking initiatives on.
Yes, and I know that because I have been part of a lot of these outreach activities, so I know that there is already a lot that's already happening. So, ma'am, also in your talk, you were talking about growing economy, and we all know that we are sitting in a country where entrepreneurship is booming, and I'm sure that all of these youngsters they would want to have more actual startups. So, do we have any plans for them also? If is it that we're going to have a lot more entrepreneurship within the actual industry?
Yes, entrepreneurship. I mean, India generally is, there's a lot of startups. I think maximum
Yes.
number of startups after Silicon Valley will perhaps be here, or maybe more than Silicon Valley. But I think so. So generally, and this Gen Z is okay doing unconventional things.
They're okay to
Like for
take
us,
risk.
for us, it was. Born and brought up, or maybe hang around the 5 years 10 years in an organization, then move out, do something else. Here they're okay to just take a break, finish their exams, maybe start something on their own, see if it doesn't work out for them, then they go back to the job. So all that move, and it's very interesting to see that, because and technology is native to them, right? So for them things, I mean, it's a different path that they're looking at, and we do acknowledge that. So in terms of looking at what we are doing for entrepreneurship, yes, so that's all areas possible through which we can actually get the students interested, and they see meaningful, as I said, I mean, commercial angle is very important, right? So I
Yes.
mean, you don't do things for charity or a pro bono all the time. That's also a very important part of life, but then you can't do that, take that as a core. So we are looking at ways in which you can engage these people, so that something meaningful comes out of what they are studying. Because the Gen Z, as I understand, needs a line of sight. I mean, you can't get away with saying that, you know, you're doing this, don't ask questions, maybe 5 years later you'll realize, no, it doesn't work. It maybe work for my generation, doesn't work for this generation. If you're doing something, you have to know why you're doing that. So that line of sight is important. So we are trying various things in the institute to see that, we do encourage students here. So that's actually the topmost priority for us.
So I think the key takeaway becomes is that have some patience and a lot many answers will come in, but we
Yes,
can't have
definitely.
all the answers together.
Yeah, none of us. As I said, effortless is a myth, and it is true, very true.
Yes, yes. So, ma'am, now we talked about entrepreneurship, we talked about global recognition. Coming up next to, I'm sure, one of the topics that everybody wants to hear, that is your presidency. So, firstly, congratulations.
Thank
How
you.
does it feel?
Well, honestly, I did not have any intention of breaking the glass ceiling. I'm the first woman president of
Yes.
Institute of Actuaries of India. That was not the intent. The intent was I wanted a way in which give back something meaningful to the profession, to the institute, which has helped me be what I am right now. So that was a pure intent, and well, I was, and this came my way. I said, okay, why not? And this also helps me steer things, certain things which are very very close to my heart for through the institute. So that's how it was. Never an intention to break the glass ceiling, honestly.
So, I'm talking about breaking the glasses. How does it feel in terms of it? Does it feel grateful or it feels that there is a huge sense of responsibility?
There is definitely a huge sense of
Yes.
responsibility. Let me be honest. I am excited and overwhelmed at the same time because, as I said, I have very big shoes to fill. The previous presidents have, and the council members have left a very rich legacy, and I have to I will strive to take it to the next level. I've had the IAI staff also extremely supportive of this. So yeah, it's going to be exciting overall. I mean, I really feel enthused every morning to sort of think that okay, what else can I do differently for the institute?
And I think it is that enthusiasm that is flowing in because every time, whenever we are opening in our LinkedIn accounts, we always see something new that's coming in every morning.
That's correct.
So
That's
that's what
correct.
is flowing in the institute. So, ma'am, now because we are talking about leadership, any key leadership steps that you feel that are going to come in your new presidency?
My leadership style is largely collaborative, and that's how I have been. So I like to take the team along. So in this case, I think collective wisdom of the council is extremely important, and because all of us come with different backgrounds, and our council is a nice mix of slightly senior people, young people, not so young people. So it's a nice mix, and all of us have different perspectives. So it's important for me to understand their perspectives, as I said, collective wisdom, and then move forward. So my leadership is more collaborative. It's not like my way or the highway. That's not what I prefer, and that's what I'm going to do. So we have, all of us have certain, I mean, we have a vision for the institute, and as we move along, we will keep going and doing a sense check to see whether it's sort of aligned or it's deviated. So that's how I plan my next 2 years.
So I'm planning around next 2 years, but I know that a lot many people who will be watching in, they would look forward to a lot more prospectors that are coming in by the institute in the coming years. So do you want to tell them up maybe some glimpse or something that might be coming in the coming years?
I would say in the coming years, watch the space for more support for the
Updates.
students. Definitely, that's something that is there on the cards for us. As I said, attracting students is one thing, retaining their engagement is another. So we are doing all that we can to be able to get more students enthused and continuing to stay. We are talking very actively with other professional bodies within India, other actuarial bodies outside India, and the government also, to see how is it that when they talk of professions, you have to have actuary in the top 5 in the
Yes.
list whenever you talk of risk management. So that's the intent that we have.
So I'm talking about actuaries in the top 5. Any key takeaway message that you want to give? So this will be our last question. Any key takeaway message that you want to give through this podcast so that anybody who watched through the entire one and they will remember that one key takeaway message that they are hearing from the president?
I would like to say that this is, as I said earlier, at the cost of repetition, this is the right time and the right place to be an actuary. So I think that's what all of us have to understand. And I firmly believe in that.
So this is the right time and the right place to be an
Yes.
actor. So thank you so much, ma'am,
My
for coming.
pleasure.
Please do come in Delhi so that we can have more such
Of course,
collaborations,
definitely,
and we can have
definitely.
more such podcasts.
Definitely, definitely.
To our listeners, I hope that this podcast has been insightful. Now, talking about the other podcast series that we are going to have, please do write to us if you have any suggestions. Please do write to us if you have any ideas in your mind or any speakers that you would want that we do get into these podcast series. We would love to hear from you. These podcast series are being designed for you, and your suggestions really matter to us. Continue to stay tuned for more such podcast series, and until next time, be curious of what is going to come up next. All the best.